Hey everybody, welcome to this special exhibition pre-tournament race of Super Castlevania 4. We got a very exciting evening lined up for you here. My name is Retrophile TV, and I'm joined in the commentary booth with Lord Fancy Puss himself.
Hey guys.
Welcome everybody. We have a exhibition race starting off here, beginning with Eagle Eye Jones versus DndNat21 or DndNat21. And it's going to be any percent. We're just going to be doing a one-off race, and then we have another one after that with Lord Fancy Puss and myself jumping in and doing a race of our own with them, doing the commentary. But that's the only things we have currently on the card for this evening, but more to come, possibly with Kenshin Trek jumping in to do some other stuff too as well. Lord Fancy Puss, what's your thought on this race here tonight?
I think we've got a couple. I think we're going to have a good race on our hands. These guys are relatively new to the speed run. I think a lot of folks are, but I think this is going to be a good comparison. These guys are on equal footing in terms of their skill level, and so it should be a really good, solid, close race here.
Agreed. We're going to see ourselves a lot of solid fundamentals across the board here overall. We're going to see how risky that they're going to take things. This is actually good prep for them for the tournament. Both of these people are in the tournament that's upcoming as well, so this is a good chance for them to get out on the big stage, do a run, have some fun in the process, and kind of test some things out. That being said, we actually recently did have some matches yesterday. Eagle Eye, DndNat, myself, and I will say that Eagle Eye performed extremely well, having 2 deathless runs yesterday and getting 2 sub-40s in the process. DndNat21 also increasingly getting more and more skillful as he goes, and was doing some deathless challenges today as well. So do you think any of that prep from yesterday will carry into today?
You know, we will see how it all turns out. I think I'm curious to see how these guys are going to change up their strats, it being a race, because I know that the strats that you go into when you're grinding to try to get your PB, they change a little bit. You can't always take all the risks that you could take if you're going for trying to lower your time when you don't have a chance to reset and can't retry again and again and again. So it will be interesting to see.
Completely agreed, hands down. I'm very excited to see what happens overall. The way that CV4 works, though, is that deaths can be rather punishing overall, because you lose your sub-weapon in the process, and you have to go back and get it. With this, we want the cross. We want to be able to regain our 3-shot multiplier. And we'll talk more about that when the run actually goes through.
Yeah, as we say, or as I like to say, losing a cross is often a fate worse than death in an any percent run. Quite literally.
Absolutely agreed, my friend. Well, it looks like the runners here are ready to go from what I can tell. They've readied up in SRL, so I'm going to go ahead and give them the word here. Lord Fancy Puss, in the meantime, tell us what we're going to expect out of the gate here.
Well, I think what we will see is the name of the game in the Castlevania 4 speedrun is a damage boosting. You will see probably right out of the gate in the first room getting knocked down to at least half health or lower in a lot of cases. And as I like to say, the kind of the currency that you're working with in Castlevania 4 is your health, because you're going to be using that to try to gain speed. And so you'll see a lot of speed boosting. I think you'll see a lot of very precise cross throws, a lot of great platforming, just a lot of skills shown.
Agreed. All right, the runners are all set. I'm pulling myself out of the race now. The SRL timer will begin, and we're going to count this one in. So I'm very excited to see how this one goes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And we're going to be off here momentarily, folks. Or rather, wait for the streams to go through once they get the words. Again, this is we're restreaming the stuff, and pretty good sync overall. Not too bad out of the gate. And here we go. Got Eagle Eye Jones on the left, DndNat21 on the right. Respective timers pulled from there, just about a second or so apart. We'll see things kind of sync up as we go through. Entering the castle, pretty straightforward, working on getting their whip upgrades, and they'll collect the cross on the next screen. See if they'll take a couple of D-boosts here along the way.
Kind of taking a safe strat there. You'll see a lot of more advanced strats just boosting the heck out of the screen.
That's one of the biggest things about CV4 overall, is that you have your economy, and that is basically your health bar, and damage boosting in this game. There's just boosts in every screen overall in this game. It's fantastic. And we can see it looks like Eagle Eye Jones, the first one into the second screen. Both runners picking up the only sub-weapon they'll ever need, the cross, and looking to throw things at them. They're getting those extra hits to get those shot multipliers. I believe it's 10 hits, and then the next small heart candle will actually contain the next multiplier, or you can get some from walls as well. Looks like DndNat having some difficulty with that skeleton, where Eagle Eye Jones is moving on to the rings that we see here.
Yeah, and those multipliers are key. You want to have that multiplier before you get to the boss, because that is what makes the bosses in Castlevania 4 pushovers for the most part when you've got that triple cross.
Agreed. Crosses kill bosses, and it just shreds health, and we'll see that. There's not really any boss that can really survive it. I mean, we'll see the bat later on. We'll try to stay away as much as possible. But Eagle Eye Jones getting a nice lead here out of level 1. Very clean execution throughout. Good damage boost. DndNat kind of finding his footing as he goes here, but he has his double shot cross and entering the stables as well. Again, anybody's race out of the gate here, but it looks like Jones is the favorite out of level 1.
Absolutely. Level 1 is not going to determine the race here. It is a pretty lengthy race. It will probably be about 45 minutes or so. And so there's a lot of race left.
Absolutely agreed on that as well. I'm very excited to see once we get into later stages. Really, I mean, the game doesn't really pick up, in my opinion, until stage 6. But also stage 3 is long and technical. We'll see what happens there. Eagle Eye Jones on the left-hand side, entering the first boss, Rodane, the mounted skeleton that we have here, taking him down relatively quickly with those crosses, kind of locking him in the corner, and again, really can't do much for that one. Really DndNat21 going in as well.
Rodane tried to get away there, but really clean kills from both runners.
Yes, Rodane fancies himself like Link in Zelda 2 and goes for that down stab. However, he couldn't get away from the crosses. And we're still pretty close here, folks. And Eagle Eye Jones getting grabbed by the RNG hands.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's the worst. You can't really avoid them. The only thing you really can do is throw the crosses low, and the best way to get out of them is actually by wiggling the control pad to get out of them in this process. It looks like DndNat having a cleaner time going through this. Oh, and I cursed at the commentator. You hate to see it.
Hands are grabby tonight. They they definitely can be. I feel that pain.
I was about to say that DndNat was gaining some time in the process here, but look, I mean, they're not too far apart by any means. A single death would reset this and put this back into DndNat's favor.
Just 1 or 2 boosts in the wrong direction could change the wins here.
You have to wonder, and I always love this about tournament races and even just racing in general, is the mental and psychological component of doing so. Like running by yourself and just doing runs in practice, that's one thing. But actually getting out there, knowing that other people are actively watching and engaged and stuff like that, it's a whole different mindset. And there's race stress and tournament stress that's involved here. So I'm kind of curious to see if either of these people have any jitters, and maybe we can pick up on that within their gameplay if they do anything differently.
Yeah, things are definitely different when you've got a spotlight on you.
Looks like Eagle Eye Jones unfortunately took a hit from the toad coming backward. You want to kind of try to conserve your health as much as possible here, because we're going to be going into the river section after Medusa, and there's a lot of deboost there, and the more health you have going into it, the more deboost you can take, and the faster you go.
Yeah, health management is definitely the name of the game in stage 2. However, we've got Eagle Eye coming up on one of probably the least formidable bosses of the game. Jeb, don't blink.
Yeah, that was a boss. Fantastic. Very clean pattern. Eagle Eye Jones coming into the river sections with a full bank of health to work with. He'll be able to take all of these boosts. However, opting not to take the first boost off that skeleton. You actually can jump over the top and drag the whip behind it to actually stun it in place, but I imagine he's going to take the rest of these. DndNat21 also with a fundamental Medusa kill. No problems at all, but a lot less health to work with. So we'll see if we can regain that. There is some meat we can grab at the end here. Coming into the second screen of the river on Eagle Eye's screen as well. There should be 5 boosts he's looking to take here. He's got plenty of health to work with. He took the first one off the bone pillar, second one off the gargoyle, third one off this bone pillar, and then 2 coming up here. The second gargoyle, however, can have a bad boost that pushes you back. We'll see if he gets the good pattern here in the process. And he does.
Very nice.
The main name of the game here is to make sure that you're staying in the current when it's pushing you in the right direction, because it's faster that way, but also jumping out. That being said, Eagle Eye Jones moving on, keeping the lead into stage 3. This one's going to make or break both the runners, I'm sure. I would be very surprised if we didn't see a death in this stage from either of these runners at this point.
And D&D finishing up stage 2, he was just shy of health to take that last boost, so he had to take a little bit of a detour, but he is still not very far behind.
Now, those Mudmen we saw there in the beginning, they are RNG with how they walk. They can go left, right, up, down, sideways. It just seems like that they never go the way you want them to. However, Eagle Eye Jones getting the perfect pattern there. Both of them just looking to walk forward, and he jumps over them very cleanly. Tighter jumps than what they look like, for what it's worth. So he's got a lot of health. Again, health management is paramount in this stage more than anything else.
Yeah, stage 3 is a very deceptively technical level, very early in the game. It's deceptive. Also, you have calming music. Things seem fairly straightforward, but it's highly technical.
Now we saw Eagle Eye get kind of caught up there for a little bit, and he had a bit of a slow kill. That's going to give DndNat a chance to get through here. On Eagle Eye's side, we just saw him take a fuzz boost here that Nat will take as well. Skip's having to go to the right. Pretty easy. You can do that one yourself.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I don't think either of these runners are going to go for a ring glitch. It's a pretty common thing for runs here. If these guys not doing the ring glitch, but trying to get through as cleanly as possible.
And we saw that with Eagle Eye. However, DndNat going for it. Look at this second try.
There
Nicely
it
done.
D&D taking a little bit, gaining just a little bit of that time back.
Risk versus reward, my friend. No risk, no speed, and he actually did that, and that actually helped him quite a bit on that one. It shaves a good amount of time. It's worth going for even a couple of times, and he's closing the gap on Eagle Eye Jones and has the health lead as well. Now, normally coming into this area, if you wanted to, you could take a boost off that eye. However, the eye does 3 damage, unfortunately cutting that lead right there. And Eagle Eye Jones taking down the white dragon here on the wall. And DndNat right behind him. It's within the footsteps at this point.
Definitely an interesting race, to be sure. And then this little gauntlet of fishmen can be very unforgiving at times.
We'll see if we get the bad spawn here at the end. I mean, there is a way that you can kind of avoid it by doing a little tuck in. We'll see what DndNat gets. Easy peasy, no problems with that. On the left-hand side, Eagle Eye Jones working his way to the final screen. He's got one more place to go, but Nat hot on his tails at this point. He's definitely gained some time in this stage, and that's fantastic. This is definitely a difficult one. That ring glitch was a very good gamble on his part, and also with a well-executed 3-1, he's gaining some time.
Yeah, for beginning to intermediate runner, stage 3 is a real gatekeeper, and so it's great to see these guys performing so well in stage 3.
So the boss of stage 3, however, is lag incarnate. I mean, Castlevania 4 came out a year after the Super Nintendo launched, and they pushed the system to its limits. And we're going to see that here. You want to make sure that you take care of these Orphic Vipers as quick as possible before they get out of hand. And we'll see how the setup here goes for Eagle Eye Jones.
We'll see if either of these runners get the quick kill on the dragons here.
So Jones not taking down either of the heads on the first jump through. So a little bit of lag to deal with. Unfortunately, DndNat also having some difficulty. About half health he's going to have to work with here. But should be coming down here shortly. Well done. No deaths so far. We're still deathless going through stage 3. Congrats to both runners at this point.
Very, very solid run.
So looks like DndNat maybe about 10 to 15 seconds behind. Again, still not an insurmountable gap at this point. Coming into stage 4, the Abandoned Fortress, which has some... This is basically the Mode 7 demo level. It basically just showing off what the Super Nintendo could do.
Yeah, a lot of fancy tricks that don't really help us very much in a speed run when we're trying to reduce lag.
You make actually a really good point there, too. We talked a lot about health management. Lag reduction is definitely a big thing, too. And you'll see some of that stuff in play here as best as they can do it. Eagle Eye Jones taking a back boost there on accident. We'll see if DndNat can capitalize that. Eagle Eye Jones coming up on Powexel. Just chuck crosses and hope for the best and taking him down. Very clean kill and moving into a intermission of sorts. We'll see if DndNat can do the same.
Yeah, and Eagle Eye Jones coming into the first notorious Mode 7 tech demo for the Super Nintendo here with the rotating room.
Hey, now you're playing with power, superpower, 16 bits of unadulterated action at its finest, and DndNat also coming in, so that we have both runners on the same screen. And one thing I should say overall here that I like to point out is that Konami of America had a lot of fun with naming enemies in this game. Powexel, not the speedrunner, which is misspelled. It's actually Puweylix, and it's licks you up. Or XIL, sorry, licks you up backwards, hence he has his big tongue. We'll see another one of those later on the level here as well. Eagle Eye Jones, though, going to be going into the main showcase of the Mode 7. Like, this is just a taste.
Yeah, this is the appetizer.
I like that. That's good, man. Opting to take it pretty safe there on the bridge. Not too bad. But here's the lag reduction center. You want to do as little as possible. And basically anything you do in this causes lag. And if you have motion sickness, I apologize. But I remember seeing this when I was a kid, and it still sticks with you as something magical.
Oh, Eagle Eye taking a bad back boost there. Not getting through. Maybe he's cleanly losing a little bit of time here. And then Nat just about to enter the Tunnel of Love here.
The Tunnel of Love. Yeah, so you don't want to actually get back boosted or taking another back boost as well there. Because that may throw off the skeleton patterns that you're used to. Basically, if you do everything the same in here, you'll actually get the same skeleton spawns. So that shouldn't be an issue. That being said, Eagle Eye coming into the final screen, which is effectively an auto-scroller, but there are some things you can do. Oh my god. That was way too close for what it is, because he's gonna have to wait here anyway.
Man, and then DndNat just displaying kind of some of the strange spawning mechanics you can have in here, getting some very unusual, even duplicate spawns of those skeletons in that room, but he does make it through the tunnel.
He's looking pretty good, though, all things considered. And Eagle Eye Jones is going to be going on to his way here. The fourth boss we're coming up to, Coronat. And Coronat backwards is Ton of Rock. It's a big, giant stone golem that we have to work with. Again, even though he's made of stone, he is not impervious to the cross and will be shredded accordingly. Nice clean jumps there from Jones, getting over that bone pillar at the top. If you take that jump a little too early, you actually can get boosted all the way back down. It's very painful.
You saw D&D getting rid of some crosses there. Having too many hearts at the end of the level will actually cost you just a little bit of time. So heart management, yet another thing that you have to pay attention to in the run.
There's a lot going on overall. I think this game, and this has been said before, I think by Funk Doc himself, that CB4 is probably one of the easiest casually, but one of the most difficult and technical to speedrun. So it's no small feat to learn and master this game. Eagle Eye Jones making quick work of Coronat. Let's see if DndNat can have a similar fare. On the left-hand side, Eagle Eye Jones coming into the entrance stage, stage 5. This is your respite, and these harpies we're seeing carrying the flea men are RNG-based. And basically, you just want to have crosses thrown in front of you as best as possible to kind of mitigate that and prevent that from happening, because you can't really anticipate what's going to happen. So best just kind of lead a cross out there and hope for the best.
D&D finishing up with a good, strong fight against Coronat with a cool pose there as he grabs the orb.
You got to go for the swag. I mean, we're not going to see any Triforces today, but still.
Highly important, yes.
DndNat getting hassled pretty badly by the Harpies there overall. And on Jones's side, he did pretty well. Let's see if he gets he gets the bad Harpy at the end. That's always scary.
Thankfully, not too costly there. Now for the skeleton alley here.
You can go for some fun D-boost there in the process. Nat has a full bill of health to work with, and we'll see if he's going to go for those D-boosts at the end. Taking things relatively safe and conservative here. Nothing wrong with that. On the left-hand side, Eagle-Eye Jones going to be walking into the castle, and this is where the game truly begins. There's a large spike in difficulty, and Stage 6 is one of the longest in the game. A lot of varied areas to work around, and we'll see how he handles it.
Absolutely. We will be coming up here on the infamous chandeliers, yet another Mode 7 staple of this game that a lot of folks remember that have played this casually.
Yeah, definitely one of the main areas of worry and woe, because if you die there's no checkpoint right directly to it. You go all the way back to the beginning. It's a big time loss, at least about a minute and a half or so. We'll see how well they take it. Both runners now going into Stage 6 deathless still, so they put on quite the show for us. Lord Fancipus, what do you think? Are we going to see a deathless run out of either of these runners today? Or where do you think we're going to run into an issue?
Oh, you'd love to see a deathless run. Stage 8 is always challenging, especially for for the casual runner. If you remember Stage 8, it's a very deadly stage. But hopefully we won't have any missed jumps or any undue deaths here.
It looks like Eagle-Eye Jones is one jump away from freedom from the chandeliers, and he gets through it without issue. DndNat getting into his own rhythm, taking things very aggressively, skipping a cycle on that second chandelier. Very well done. And hopping onto the third chandelier is very clean.
I know that a lot of folks, I've seen runners get to these chandeliers and actually feel as if there's nothing below you, having kind of a fear of heights kick in as they're playing those chandelier section.
Yeah, it has the nickname of anxiety chandeliers, and definitely there's definitely vertigo that you can possibly get. However, DndNat making through it once again without issue, getting himself a checkpoint in the process, which is fantastic. Eagle-Eye Jones getting himself a nice tight bat boost up there. You can skip that left-hand side slightly by taking a specific jump. Both runners avoiding the axe that's near those three people and the ectoplasm. DndNat has to be very careful, though, down to his last pip of health. And it looks like he'll be able to get the safety meat here, and also meat is pretty abundant, thankfully, in this stage. So if you know where to look, you can find it pretty quickly. Even though this may be the ballroom and the entrance to the castle, Dracula apparently likes to age his dry age his wall meats within the walls here. And candles, which is a rarity in the Castlevania series. Usually don't see that, but
DndNat getting the bat boost there, being able to skip a couple of platforms.
Eagle-Eye Jones entering the skeleton hallway, taking care of all of these skeletons. Basically, if you're leading crosses in front of you and whipping, you can take care of them. Each of those skeletons take 2 hits each. So we'll see how things handle, or how Nat handles it once he gets there as well. But still keeping things very close and competitive. Again, a single death on Jones' side would open the door for DndNat to push himself forward.
Yeah, Eagle-Eye Jones coming into the final couple of rooms of the stage with a lot of health, decent number of hearts. I think he's got a good course in front of him, and it's pretty low risk at this point for him.
Both runners sitting on a nice clean bill of health overall. Eagle-Eye Jones on the second last screen of Stage 6, the ballroom. These dancers here are RNG. Getting a bad pattern, however, and that's something that can occur. You would basically throw your crosses out there as best as you can and kind of recognize when you're going to get a bad pattern. But overall, it should be fine. He'll get some meat at the end there, and he's on his way.
Speaking of silly named enemies in this game, the 2 dancers here have been named Fred Asker and Paula Abgul, and those are the actual names in the manual.
Yes, that's absolutely correct, and that's definitely one of my favorite ones in the game. And here's another fun one too. I forgot to mention the zombies that are actually in the beginning part of this level are actually Cruellas, no less. Not just zombies, they're Cruellas. You can go look that up in the manual too. That being done, Stage 6 in the books for Eagle-Eye Jones. Moving on to the silent library of Stage 7.
We've got D&D coming in on the boss here shortly, getting through the final dancers. And this another boss that if done properly, if you blink, you will miss the boss fight. And all done.
Yeah, didn't even have a chance to do any of the special things that they can do. I think that's pretty close as far as with Medusa about who dies first or who dies fastest. But both runners did an excellent job cleaning that one up. All right, on the left-hand side here, Eagle Eye Jones taking a couple jumps down to get through this vertical section nice and clean. And let's see if he gets the good axe and goes for the boost.
Skipping the safety meet there, so saving a little bit of time there, Eagle Eye Jones.
Yes, indeed. He did get the good axe, and what I'm referring to is the low axe thrown by that knight up top, and you actually can boost onto the books a little bit earlier and save some time, but opting to play it safe for the race.
Eagle Eye also opting not to do the book jump, which on his stream earlier, he did successfully pull off the book jump, but wisely on a good pace, deciding not to risk it for the race.
Yeah, again, both of these people are currently sitting on deathless paces and deathless runs. I mean, they both could be feeling good at this point. I know that Eagle Eye Jones has had a couple of runs in today. Nat was playing a little bit earlier today, but trying to do deathless. So we'll see if his late game is looking pretty good, whereas Eagle Eye has had more recent exposure to it. So definitely you want to look at the people being warmed up versus not. Eagle Eye Jones, plenty of health coming into the lag monster screen. This... I'm not even sure what to refer to this as the larval worm. I forget what it's actually named in the book, but it's basically Bot Wound from Super Metroid, and that's all we see of it.
Yeah, I have no idea what the official name for that thing is. DndNat taking the safety meet, also not getting a good axe, maybe not quite getting as favorable a pattern as Eagle Eye in that room, and then Eagle Eye coming up on the final room of stage 7.
Eagle Eye having some difficulty getting on the stairs. Third time's a charm for Simon to find his footing. Stairs boss is not just something in stage B. It's any set of stairs that Simon has to jump on can be a difficult endeavor. That being said, Eagle Eye Jones coming into Sir Grakel, the boss of stage 7. A suit of armor that should be pretty easy. He's got plenty of health. He can just basically rush him down with some crosses and whips. It should be quick and easy, and so it was.
Nice and clean. Grakel also has some weird kind of anomalies where he can regain health and block some of your attacks if not handled properly, and sometimes it's difficult to control that.
That's a really good insight. Yeah, that they've done some RAM analysis on that one, and it seemed that the values actually change back up for whatever reason. I forget what the circumstances have to be. I think it has something to do with how either when he's drawing a sword or blocking with a shield, that things can be weird. But that being said, the most exciting stage Hate, lovingly named here on Eagle Eye Jones' side, the dungeon itself. I'm curious to see if we're going to see our first death or not.
Very deadly stage. Basically, anything with a spike here, it's likely to be a one-hit kill. Ooh, scary stuff.
That was a clenched here as well. I saw him get pushed back into that instant kill that you're mentioning within those spikes, but however the iframes being able to hold through. Even playing this game casually, doing some deboosts here can make this a lot easier, and that's a pretty good one that Jones just took. And Sir Grakel is down on DndNat's side.
And Eagle Eye out of the first room of stage 8, which in my opinion tends to be one of the more difficult rooms of the entire run.
Agreed. We're going to see a despawn here on Eagle Eye Jones' side. Basically, the sprite limit is reached, and a second Bone Dragon does not spawn in that one area there right after the Rosary. So well done for him for doing that despawn. DndNat on his way as well into the dungeon. And we'll see from here. The good news is that this is a fairly short stage. However, they packed in a lot of danger, and a lot of people will get stuck here casually. And Vegas Bridge looms, folks. We'll see what happens there. Lord Fanspus, you want to talk about Vegas Bridge? What are we going to expect here?
Man. Vegas Bridge, it's a long line of randomly disappearing blocks that you have very little control over. We have some mitigation strategies to try to keep it as safe as possible, which helps, but sometimes you just got to roll on Vegas. Meaning you got to boost onto the bridge and just hold on to your butts.
Well said. I can't imagine that either of these people will be betting on Vegas. I think we're actually going to probably see a 2-cycle where they stand and wait and watch the pattern and then try to go from there as well. The only main difficulty is that each of these blocks can be there for 1 or 2 seconds and vanish for that same amount. Jones opting for the second cycle, assessing himself, walking forward, taking a spear, but getting across without much issue.
Yeah, even taking it scary, there's no free Vegas.
Yes, exactly. Gambling ain't free, and even if you don't bet on Vegas, doesn't mean it's not a gamble, even going across the entire thing. Well done, Frankenstein kill there. Kind of stands in place. You can actually just whip him underneath his armpit, and it all works anyway. But taking care of it. And DndNat will be going on to Vegas Bridge as well. Both of them on a fantastic run, very good pace. And Eagle Eye Jones going into stage 9, the Treasury.
DndNat taking a different route through that stair room, opting to skip a little bit more than Eagle Eye did.
That'll close some ground here in the process, but we'll see what happens here. Stage 9 is actually deceptively very difficult. I would say that this stage, for me, personally, this stage has killed more runs than Stage 8 has, for whatever reason. Just, if things go wrong in this stage, they go real wrong. And Konami knew what they were doing with certain placements of pits and skeletons and such, and things can just go really, really bad. But that being said, Eagle Eye Jones, however, doing a pretty good job of taking care of things. Didn't really take too much damage. Got a lot of good health. DndNat at Vegas Bridge, laying out the red carpet for him and getting through that one. Again, glad to see no deaths here in Stage 8.
Still deathless runs for both runners. Stage 9 also kind of a favorite among a lot of runners. It's got great music. It's got a really unique aesthetic, a really, really great design and level overall.
I agree. I remember like coming here, like going from the deep dark dungeon into the glistening golden treasury. I mean, it's a very good contrast. So Konami knew what they were doing. Oh, I got really worried there with Eagle Eye not having a very good setup for the skeletons. However, holding on, that's exactly what I was talking about, where you can get pushed back. But he survives to the first checkpoint here. That's how long it takes to get to the first continue. Ooh,
oh, that was close.
Very scary. But however, he still survives. I can't imagine he's very happy with his health. I'm kind of curious to see if he's going to take some safety strats here. There's candle meat there, but you can go down and come back up and grab it again if you want to. And it looks like he's opting not to do so.
And we had the first death of the run from DndNat, taking a bad boost off a skeleton, falling into a pit. Again, just like you said, man, the Stage 9 can definitely catch you off guard. There's a lot of places where taking a bad boost the wrong way can just spell the end for you.
Yeah, that's for sure. So that's going to give a little bit more length to Eagle Eye Jones's lead. Again, you hate to see it overall, and it definitely hurts from the psychological point, because right now you're wondering, well, hey, you're going to assume that your opponent is ahead at this point, or you're playing catch up in the process. So you may start thinking about doing more risky strats that maybe you haven't practiced as much. But sticking with your fundamentals is usually the best thing you can possibly do. Go with the consistent strats in this case, without trying to go for something you haven't practiced too much. Eagle Eye Jones, though, however, doing a really good job on his side, climbing through, taking the D-boost with the fireball to go through the Bone Dragon, walking through them in the process, and climbing up there. He'll be coming up to our Stage 9 boss, Zapf-Bat, Z-A-P-F. No one knows why it's named that. There's some theories about it, but I don't know. Photosensitivity warning for you fine folks in the crowd here. For those that may not know, a lot of white flashing on the screen here, so just want to give you guys a heads up.
And DndNat may be behind, but definitely aggressively trying to pull forward and make up some of that time.
It's not the impossible dream. Again, Eagle Eye Jones, if he takes a costly death, and you can take some pretty costly ones in Stage A or Stage B, we will see what happens here. But he's got plenty of health. He's split up the bat, takes 22 hits to break up the bat into the 3 smaller bats. And the ideal strat is actually to hit 22 times as close to the ground as possible, and be able to stack the crosses on top of all 3 of them and just basically just shred through the entire thing.
Yep. Well, I was going to say, for an any percent run, probably one of the most challenging bosses to finish quickly.
Agreed. This is where a lot of time can be won or lost against your PV, depending on how this fight goes in general. DndNat on his side, making it through the Uncle Scrooge room. He's going to be going into the secret room to grab himself a backup cross. And Eagle Eye Jones moves on to Stage A.
Stage A, you got a clock tower in Castlevania game. Gotta have them.
It is a requirement. It's something that you need. And of course, we got Bloody Tears here. We have a lot of remixes on the way out through Stage A and Stage B. Bloody Tears, Vampire Killer Beginning. All very good stuff that we're going to be seeing here. Stage A, also much like Stage 9, can be very deceptively difficult. There are some very specific and close jumps. Skeletons can operate in a strange way. Basically, if you get off pattern or off script on this one, things can kind of get out of hand. So we'll see how he takes it. But a fairly short stage overall, and kind of a lull before Stage B, which is one big giant boss rush.
Yeah, Stage A, for the most advanced speedrunners or highest level speedrunners, also probably the most technical speedrun in the game. I think these guys are probably taking it fairly safe compared to the most advanced strats, but still a very challenging level.
Yeah, the next screen that Eagle Eye Jones will be coming up onto is probably one of the most difficult screens overall in the entire game, and if done as fast as possible. But if you take things pretty slow and just kind of whip things down, it makes things nice and easy. It looks like that's what he's doing. DndNat, however, fighting with Zapbat with a full bar of health to work with, breaking things up fairly high, so they're going to swoop down pretty low. But pretty good placements of crosses, all things considered.
Yep, and he's going to have to wrangle those little ones to finish it up, but it looks like he will make it on to Stage A, and can move on to finish the run here.
Playing hard to get in the process. However, I don't think DndNat gained very much time compared to Eagle Eye Jones. They both kind of struggle with that boss here, but that's completely understandable. What's important, though, is he beat it, because if you die to Zapbat, you go all the way back to the previous screen, not even the one that you're on where you fight the boss, and you have to go all the way back through. Oh, Eagle Eye Jones taking the first death. That's a costly one, folks.
Very costly.
This is exactly what I was talking about. That opens the door for DndNat if he can actually persevere through, because right now, it's Eagle Eye Jones can get his cross back in the next screen, but he has to rebuild that multiplier going into it. And you know that he's got to feel a little shaken from that one. So we will not be seeing any deathless runs today in this one. But again, there's still plenty that can happen here between now and the end.
Oh yeah, there's still a very difficult boss rush, including probably one of the most difficult bosses in the game, Slagra. Whoa. That was, I have done that before. DndNat nearly biting it, falling through the stairs, or falling off of the gear, but catching himself on the stairs. That could have spelled the end of the potential time that he had gained from that death that Eagle Eye Jones just took.
Agreed. Yeah, it's definitely a scary thing. Sometimes if you're not sure about a jump and there's stairs below you, sometimes it behooves you to actually just hold up and hope for the best sometimes.
Another thing about this level too is this has the most RNG boss of the entire game, where it can go from a very, very fast fight to an extremely long fight, depending on the kind of RNG the boss gives you, and that could make the difference in our run tonight.
Slagra and Dracula would like to have a word with you, Lord Fancy Puss, but pretty damn close for what it's worth. But agreed, it's very possible that if someone can get a 1 cycle, whereas someone else ends up with some bad luck and gets a 3 or a 4 cycle, I mean, that's a big swing of time. Akmadon II takes a very long time to kill. He takes a lot of hits. For a mummy, he's very resilient. And it looks like that Eagle Eye Jones will be the first to get there, struggling a bit with the skeletons, but getting a double shot going on the way in with decent health.
And DndNat not that far behind.
Looks like DndNat taking the safety meat on the right-hand side. If you go to the left a little bit faster, you can actually take a damage boost there and kind of go up. Looks like Eagle Eye Jones getting a rough pattern to work with, taking things very safe. You can tell he's very gun-shy, because sometimes with the bandage pattern there, it can sneak behind you and actually push you into the pit, and that's the last thing he wants right now. However, getting some good luck here, looks like this is going to be a 3 cycle from what I'm seeing here, unless he can clutch this one out into a 2. That is the 3 cycle. Looks like DndNat going with the Rosary strat to take care of the Bone Dragon rather than doing the extension of the whip, which I believe Eagle Eye Jones did. That being said, not too far apart. They are 1 boss apart at this point. So hopefully we can see if he had a 3 cycle, if DndNat gets a 2 cycle, he's catching up here in the process going to the final stage.
Yes, and DndNat going in. Probably not enough hearts to get the 1 cycle, but not getting a very good RNG pattern there.
Agreed. Now it looks like Eagle Eye Jones taking that jump down there, catching the steps, quickest way to get through there rather than dealing with those Dullahands. And coming onto the bat bridge, I don't know how this masonry works, but it looks like it was in pretty bad disrepair. And well, it looks like Drax gonna need a new bridge after Simon's done with it.
I had looked away, and it looks like DndNat took a death on the mummy. I don't know exactly what happened, but he's going back into it whip only.
I noticed that as well, and I'm sorry for missing that as well, folks. I alt-tabbed for 1 second to take a gander at the chat, and I came back, and, well, lo and behold, that happens. I have to imagine that there was a death taken, again, possibly from a stray bandage, but that is unfortunate. On Eagle Eye Jones' side, coming into the first of 5 bosses within the boss rush, and this is truly Stairs boss incarnate, and this is a casual killer right here. You can get stuck here for a very, very long time. Relying on Stairs to operate in such a way and being quick about it, and then the worst of it comes at the very end of this entire thing with a whole bunch of instant death spice hanging over your head, and we'll see how he handles it.
Man, Eagle Eye Jones always giving me a heart attack when he tries to whip that candle while going up the stairs on this level. He tends to go for that, and he gets it pretty consistently, but always kind of a clincher.
I don't even go for that second candle. However, the reward for that one is a large heart, which gives you 5 hearts to work with. And if he's trying to go for the most optimal of strats, collecting hearts here and kind of conserving them throughout, you can skip the secret right at the end there. That's a free time save. On DndNat's side, he whips him down, whips him good. And Akmadan II going back into his I don't know, coffin, his planet. I don't know, his bandages kind of go off into space now that I think about it.
Yeah, DndNat now going into Stage B. The name of the game in Stage B is collect as many hearts as possible on your race to the boss rush, because you'll want to have enough hearts to kill all the bosses without having to waste time or lose time grabbing hearts through other means. We'll get there. Indeed.
And Stairs boss is down for Eagle Eye Jones here, coming into the second of 5 bosses, Slogra. For those that have played Symphony of the Night, you'll remember him being a pushover along with his buddy Gaibon, which we'll be seeing here momentarily. However, this here is the destroyer of dreams, the killer of runs, probably the absolute worst of the worst. And we're seeing a reason why. Just really aggressive out of the gate. Those dashes are very difficult to avoid in the process. You have to jump at a very specific timing, and sometimes it can be double or triple dashes. It's almost impossible to avoid.
Absolutely.
At this point.
Yeah, with Slogra, you can do everything right, and he can just decide that you're gonna die.
Agreed, but it looks like he's got plenty of health to work with here, playing things fairly safe. DndNat making his climb up as well, and we'll see if he can maybe make up some time with some better bosses. Slogra down for Eagle Eye Jones. 2 out of 5 completed. Moving on to the next one.
And DndNat coming up on the floating platforms. Again, pretty precarious situation. Looks like he may be going for the backup cross. Very scary strat, but he does it.
It's another thing to kind of learn and kind of focus on. What makes these races so wonderful and dynamic is actually, if deaths do occur, knowing your backups, knowing how to actually handle those situations. It's very important to have that as part of your skill set, knowing where you can find crosses, meet, how to get to them. And I will say that the cross in this section is in the worst and most inconvenient place possible. So knowing how to get that is very vital to having your skill set. That being said, Gaibon being taken care of very cleanly by Eagle Eye Jones on the left side. Moving on to 4 of 5, Death himself.
Absolutely, and the death fight is another one that can get out of hand, but with the triple cross can be handled pretty readily.
Looks like he's going to be giving him a pretty nice clean pattern that you can just whip him down with here in the process. And DndNat collecting his hearts right before he goes into Slogra.
And now Eagle Eye Jones going for the Drac fight. He's got a good amount of hearts. He's got a good amount of health. I think he's going to go straight for the Drac fight.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
I don't know if he was
boss of the game right there.
I don't know if he was going to go for the secret and jump too soon, or if he was going for a stair jump and unfortunately ran into the problem where Simon just does not want to catch the stairs sometimes. That jump seemed a bit early to me in both situations, and maybe that was happening, but obviously we know he has plenty of time to spare here at this point. That being said, he's at the top of the stairs around 40 minutes. Based on how this Drac fight will go, looks like we'll probably be looking at a 42, possibly. And with DndNat hot on his trail here, he very well could get a sub 45 in this race. Okay, so Dracula is random on how he actually teleports for the first 1 through 3 teleports. The 4th teleport and everything that's a multiple of 4, he will always appear on top of you, which we just saw there from Eagle Eye Jones. So if you know that, you actually can position yourself in such a way where you can actually make sure that you're in a optimal spot to throw some crosses. But again, if you're keeping 3 crosses in the air, kind of whipping them down as best you can, this fight's not too bad. And speaking about not too bad, DndNat doing a great job there on Gaibon and moving up to death as well.
And these fireballs floating around for the casual runner can be quite finicky to deal with, but Eagle Eye Jones handling them quite well and moving into the final phase.
He's done a fantastic job. He's got a full bar of health to work with, plenty of crosses. He can basically just tank all the damage he wants. Eagle Eye Jones will be walking away with this one nice and clean. And he's had a pretty good drag fight. If he can get him down quick enough, it might be a 41. It's going to be close.
Oh, that's definitely going to be sub 42.
Yeah, he did a really good job with that one. Very good. So 1 death for Eagle Eye Jones on his side, however, and he did a really good job of recovering. And speaking about death, DndNat conquering death himself, and it can be moving on to Drac. Looks like his heart count is out, so he'll be taking that secret. And that is all she wrote for Eagle Eye Jones. His timer showing a 41:52. Official SRL time of 41:56. Congratulations to Eagle Eye Jones being the winner and first one to win tonight in this exhibition set.
A great show of skill and a really great run overall. We've got DndNat here now coming into the final Drac fight. And we should see another Drac takedown very shortly.
Hope so. Quite good. Now, that being said, it's again, he's pushing for a sub 45 in the race here, which is a pretty good benchmark overall. And he's got to be at least pretty happy with this run from what I imagine here. Only a single death. Let's see if he can make it through here. Fingers crossed. Playing it pretty well, not getting trolled by the flames.
Yeah, whipping quickly and placing crosses is the name of the game when you're coming into Drac.
Looks like he's doing a fine job of it, avoiding the damage pretty decently, getting himself a free... Oh, wow, that's an excellent meet right there. Plenty of health going into the final phase. DndNat's going to be pretty happy about this Drac fight.
We've got the Drac buffet going on today.
The man just has so much gold and so much meat. And that was a very, very good second phase for that. And that's going to be a sub 44 for DndNat, by the way. Well done.
Quite good.
And waiting for Drac to dramatically die. I know that the observation has been made in the past. Why doesn't Simon just whip the window? Just get it over with in the first place. Right. His timer, 43:44 on the orb grab with an official SRL time of 43:48, improving his personal best. That was his best SRL race time he's ever had.
GG to both runners. That's incredible.
Really nice runs. GG's all around. Fantastic job to both the runners. That's going to be a hard act for us to follow, by the way, Lord Fancy Puss.
I know. We've got one lined up after this.
How about it? So keep it here then, folks. We have another race lined up, and we're going to be happening here momentarily. Going to take a quick breather, take a little bit of a stretch. Let me see what we got going on here. But overall, I think let's do a little bit of a recap. Got any favorite moments from the race? And any observations you saw from both sides there, Lord Fancy Puss?
Just really good overall run. I think both runners have to be proud of their performance on the run. I think probably for me, one of the highlights was seeing DndNat pull off the ring glitch and everybody getting to see that. That was fantastic.
I agree. That was actually one of my favorite moments to see that. Like you were just saying, like I don't think they're going to go for it, and then he nails it on the second try, and that was perfect.
Quite good.
All right, so we're actually going to bring both of them in. We'll do a quick interview with them and get them set up for commentary because they're taking over. They can now kick back, relax. They've entertained the masses. We can go ahead and get ourselves prepped, but see who's going to join us here in the booth first.
Howdy.
Hello there, DndNat. How are you doing, sir?
My palms are a little sweaty. I'm
Arms
good
heavy?
though. yeah. Mom
spaghetti.
Yeah. That was a great run. That was a lot of fun. I got a lot of gold splits on my end. I kind of lost it in 9, but kept on going. Got the backup cross and kicked ass all the way through.
So was that a single death run for you?
I think it was single death. I'm fairly certain it was single death. I might have died again, but I don't believe I had to get the backup cross again. So I believe that was just single death. So 1 death this one, and 43 is not bad for me at all.
Yeah, and SR, I mentioned this here that SRL had said that is your best time that you've had on SRL. Your previous best race time was 46:41, and you dropped that to a 43:48. That's minus almost 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's a huge jump. So I'm pretty happy, especially because it's under pressure. You only get 1 shot at it. And I was even able to incorporate a couple of new tricks that I've been learning along the way. So I'm very satisfied with that as a D-Rust run. Very much so.
Agreed. How did it feel to get the ring glitch in stage 3 on the second try? Me and Lord Fansbus were pretty hype about that.
Yeah, I was pretty hype about that too. Actually, the fact that I just completed a run sub 45 with that in there second try, I'm super stoked about that. I'm putting that in all my runs now.
As you should.
Yeah, you did good. You did really good.
GG Eagle Eye, man. GG. Great run.
Welcome in, Eagle Eye. How are you doing, sir?
Oh man, I'm a little jittery still, but man, I had 2 really awkward deaths. I mean, you saw it. 2 deaths I never had before. One falling off the the platform with the Axe Knight on A, and the second one before Dracula, I fell in the pit because I fell through the stairs.
And that's what it was.
But, I mean, I'm lucky the checkpoint is right there at the stairs, but that was so unnecessary. The second death. But
it looked
aside from
early.
that, it was okay. It was a good run altogether.
I think you did a fantastic job.
Absolutely. Quite good.
Quite good.
So Eagle Eye, on your side, then, just out of curiosity, what did you have a favorite moments or anything that you felt that went really, really well? I mean, it was a clean run overall, even though that you had some deaths in the process. I mean, you took the win. It was a really close race. There were some pretty hype moments overall between the two of you. I've already said that this is going to be a tough act to follow, but what was your overall experience with doing this race in front of us?
I mean, I was pretty much in my zone. I was pretty much focused on the game, and I think D&D had the same. Went through the same, just focused on the game, and I thought also with the microphone off that helped a little to just stay in focus with your own game. And man, I had some very close moments, and my heart almost stopped a few times, but overall, it was a pretty good experience.
Yeah, we saw that moment in stage 9 where you got the back boost from that one bone dragon right near that like oddly positioned pit, and we both gasped when we saw that one.
Yeah. For example, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree about the microphone comment. Be having that muted, and also at the same time because the whole microphones are off and there's no chimes or anything like that. I actually have to mute my audio too because I have that put out only through the stream, so I don't have any overlap. So I didn't hear any game audio whatsoever, and that was really interesting. Just complete silence, no talking, no listen, no nothing, just focus, and it was absolutely surreal because I was looking over at my splits, just mind blowing. It's insane how much of a difference it is.
Yeah, I mean, deep focus and kind of getting into it. I talk a lot about the psychology of being in the race there. I mean, sometimes tournaments bring out the best in people, and racing is a really good way to be a motivator. I mean, that was probably the best run you had all day today. I know you were going for the Deathless Challenge, and I know you took 1 in the process, but still, you seem very happy about how this turned out.
Absolutely. I was actually thinking like the whole way. I was like, could I get the Deathless run at the same time as a race and a PB right now? But it didn't happen. But there's many opportunities to come, so we'll see what happens.
Agreed. Lord Fancipus, any parting words or thoughts about the race before you and I have to go suit up and do it ourselves?
Well, I think you've covered most of it, guys. I just want to say congratulations. Fantastic runs from both of you. You guys should be really proud of what you guys accomplished today. And yeah, I'm excited to do my race next. Congrats, guys. GG.
Thanks.
GG all around.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just as a quick announcement to everyone here that's tuned in, we'll have a race coming up here momentarily. But again, if you dig CV4, if you've liked what you watched today, keep it here. Toss Castlevania Speedruns a follow because there's a lot of CV4 action to come over the next 2 months. The Castlevania 4 Any Percent Tournament, it's double elimination. Will be kicking off, probably, I think, one of the largest ever. 23 participants are going into it of all skill levels. And you're going to see some amazing matches happening. And it kicks off this week. So keep it here. Make sure you have a follow and those notifications on so you can be aware when matches happen. And I expect to see a lot of amazing things. But as for me, I'm going to go ahead and step out of the booth, go get my stream stood up, and get ready. Lord Fancy Puss, best of luck to you. It was a pleasure commentating alongside of you. And I look forward to a good race.
All the same, Retrophile. Good luck. And thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we're going to turn it over to them. We're going to probably have a brief intermission in the meantime. And keep it locked here, guys. See you soon.